Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Nishmas Mordechai. Welcome, welcome. Michael Bet-Shitrid, all the way from Florida. Yeshur Koyach. We'll start off. I don't know if you have volume today. Let's go for some volume. Let's see if you got it. Here we go.
Shulam. Good morning, Rabbi Isai.
That's how you train them, young. Here we got this from Moshe Shwed from Daf, the one who runs Daf. Says, I guess on his status or something. I don't know where this is, but it looks like a wonderful location to learn the Daf and have a l'chaim. The guy is, in fact, learning the Daf. It's beautiful this. So yesterday I went to get a haircut at Gingy, and you guys, it's not as negea to you, but the whole oilam from the Hebrew Shir was there. One Spiegel is the guy, the older fellow behind me. He got a haircut right before me. Yisroel Lichter is another guy with his son. The kids, it was a whole reunion. The Israeli oilam loved it. They're on the floor. Just wanted to give you kudos for doing such an amazing kudos for doing such an amazing job bringing the daf to life. I'm truly enjoying the Bava Basra way more than I expected to. I thought I was going to cruise through this year of the Babas just by davening it up, to get by, to be yoitza, he's saying. But you kept me plugged in, so yishroel. A special shout out to my cousin Pinny, who I'm jealous of making aliyah. Here he is. No, where's he? Sitting over there. Pinny. Has not any, but he continues to inspire my family with an upbeat attitude and ability to overcome and overlook the challenges that come his way. What a chizuk and inspiration you have become for him and me. And he as well has been for the whole mishpacha. You've been an inspiration for the mishpacha, Pinny. You hear this? Thank you, Alex Gilden.
Sam Kleiner doing the daf in Switzerland.
Sam Kleiner? Really?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the picture. This is Sam Kleiner doing the daf in Switzerland.
You've been there. Son of
Grindelwald. Yeah. Okay, Gewaldig. The next one. Love you, Shir. I'm compelled to ask a question unrelated to Bava Basra. Why don't you button the cuff of your shirt?
Join the nude in the shear. Just line up.
Yeah.
Line up.
Wishing you chizuk much atzlacha, DJ.
I called out about 6 months ago.
Hello.
And you're 6 years late. The idiosyncrasies. Always, I like this email. I thought it was very interesting. Ari Seitner, he's a therapist. Reb Stefansky, I'd like to firstly thank you for such an engaging shir. After a dozen years of learning the daf, I'm really starting to finally connect to and enjoy the learning. As a clinical therapist, I wanted to share a brief thought regarding the sugi about hitting children, Bava Basra, Daf Amud Aleph. In the work I do, there's not a day that goes by where I do not encounter adults who carry incredibly painful burdens relating to trauma from childhood. Very often when a child is hit for acting out, instead of them understanding that what they did was bad, they draw the wrong conclusion and believe that they themselves are bad. This kind of thinking breeds intense feelings of shame and worthlessness and correlates with addictions, anxiety, depression, and problems in marriage and future relationships. I do not believe that Chazal were wrong when they suggested the option of physical punishment. But perhaps today, we're nowhere near the madrega that is required for hitting, which is why it should be avoided. When Rav says, if you're going to hit a child, to only use a shoelace, I was wondering why he specifically says a shoelace and not a string. Perhaps Rav had a message in the shoelace itself. The very function of the shoelace is to provide security, to attach the shoe to the foot. Without the shoelace, the shoe would simply slip off. Similarly, it takes a very high level to be able to discipline a child in a way that the child understands that the punishment is coming from a place of love, that the parent is holding the child, adding security and attachment, and building them up, rather than shaming, humiliating, tearing them down, chas v'shalom. Unlike today, perhaps previous generations were better able to discipline with the model of a shoelace and communicate the message of love and security. Thank you, Ari Seitner.
Very good.
It's very nice.
Yes, very nice.
Everybody likes your pshat, Ari.
Good shot.
Okay. I don't think that I personally am far off from what he was saying. All I said is, I don't think it should be taken out of the repertoire completely. Say that the child knows that it's not available.
In the toolbox.
It should be somewhere in the back. Maybe never use it, but it should be there. And I forgot to mention, it's actually a pasuk in the Torah that if you don't hit your son, you hate him. So every Rebbe knows that pasuk, your favorite pasuk. The Masechta is sponsored for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh Moe Landy, Liluy nishmas Reb Moshe ben Shmuel Yehuda, the Mashgiach of torah vodaas. Parnas HaChodesh Ahron Fraiman l'schus to Reb Eli dishmaya teaching torah to klal yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh shleima neftali הערץ ben העניא, a hidden tzaddik in our generation. Parnas HaChodesh Liluy nishmas זכריה ben Moshe and Liluy nishmas chaya bas yosef. Parnas HaChodesh hayom. Parnas hayom. Efrayim Jaffe in honor of Eli Landy for starting the daf with Reb Eli. Welcome, Eli Landy. Yeshua Koyach should be zoich to finish all of Shas together with us. Parnas hayom. Malkie and Mordy Strauss. Nishmas Yeshua Hershel ben Efrayim Yisroel Halevi. Shia Burger on his 4th yard site yesterday. Rabbi Isai, here we go. We're holding Daf Beis, Amud Beis by the Mishnah. I have 2 interesting questions for the Olam. We're going to be learning a little bit, very little, about Egla Arufa. Egla Arufa is when they find a body between 2 cities. The Torah says to measure the distance of the city, and if the cities are exactly the same distance, then they bring a Egla Arufa, they bring an Egla and they chop its head off in Nachal Eisan. So the question is, what if one city is closer, but one city has more people in it? The Torah says to go with the closer city. The one that's closer, we're going to see. But one city has 1 million people, one city has 10,000 people. What's the halacha? Anybody? Hey, I'm just that. If you came just for, I see nobody wants to raise their hand, so if you came just for that halacha, it's kedai. It's halacha in the Torah. The Torah says you go by what's closer. So does it make a difference how many people there are? It doesn't say in the Torah about people. Does it make a difference? Yes or no? Huh?
I'd say yes.
No difference.
Karov is the bus.
Oh, but it says in the Torah, Karov. Kroiva is a mefurish halach in the Torah that you go by close. It's roiv karev. Okay, very good. So that's what we paskin, that roiv and karev, when you have 2 things that 2 rules in the Torah. They're both rules in the Torah, but we go by the roiv over the karev, and therefore the city that has more people is actually going to win out in this case, even though it's not in the Torah. That's one thing. Now I have another shaila. Sometimes you go to a wedding here in Eretz Yisrael. It's very. I've never seen it in America. I've done a lot of weddings in America. Never seen it once in my life. But you go to a wedding here, there's a bunch of people smoking cigarettes inside the wedding hall. Not electric, regular cigarettes. Oh wow! You've never seen it? This guy's never been to all the time. You could say something to them. They'll laugh at you. They'll think you're nuts. Now, let's say it bothers you a lot, but you don't want to go over to the guy. You don't want to go over to the guy and say anything to him. Does that guy have to ask you mechila?
Yes.
If it's a problem, you think it's bothersome, but you don't go to him and he bothered you, does he have to ask you mechila? That's my shiloh. Okay, so let's see what.
Even if you spit.
Even if you make somebody grossed out, like spit, yeah. Right. So you have to ask mechila.
He can't even get mechila.
Right.
He can never fix what he's doing. So
Correct. But let's say
he's killing people.
He has to get up and ask you, put an ad in the newspaper. I don't know. Go after the chasana. Says the Mishnah. Marchikim es hasula min hashoybach arba amos. We have a picture here. All Yoshi. The shoybach. You have a birdhouse, let's say, a dovecot. We'll show it in a second. On the left side, there's a separating wall between you and your neighbor. The wall's yours. You can put anything you want up against it. You have to distance your ladder from that wall 4 amos. Why? This is what the art scroll says in Amiyah. In Hebrew, it's slightly different. It's a smaller animal. Here in Israel, they look a little. This one was cute, so I put it in there. There's a marten, he says, but in Israel, there's an Amiyah. It's a similar size to this, and it loves. When I learned in Tifrach as a kid, it was before Bar Mitzvah, so I remember there's a story there where an Amiyah broke into the Lul Targulim, thousands of chickens, and it killed a bunch of chickens. They came in the morning, it was like 9, 10 dead chickens. But the problem was they didn't know if it attacked other chickens or not. And I think that they passing that almost everything is treif or something. The guy had a massive loss. I figured I'll just throw this in just for it reminded me of my story when I was a child. You can make it lower, Gershon. I just like it's 5 against 1, and he wins. Okay, anyway. I had a very similar mice last night. I'll share with you later. I tried to catch a little chicken, and I couldn't. Okay, so next. We had this case yesterday. We'll repeat it again. You have to distance your wall from your neighbor's gutter or gutta 4 amos. So you should be able to put the ladder on an angle. We brought the ladder to the front over here, and here's the picture to remind the Olam. From the gutter to the wall is 4 amos. The Gemara just explains that there's an overhang, and therefore there is a possibility for people to walk next to the house and push the dirt down and compact the dirt. So we had this Reb Eli a number of times. We didn't even have the Mishnah that's coming up soon. The famous Reb Eli. Reb Eli says, what I do in my property is my business. You cannot stop me. I could plant a tree in my property even though it's going to harm you. I can do whatever. As long as it's not an immediate damage, it's my property. So let's just see the picture again. The Tanna Kamma says you have to distance your tree 25 amma from your neighbor's pit. And Reb Eli says no. The issue is later on the roots are going to grow and destroy the pit. Reb Eli says, I'm planting a tree, you don't like it, move your pit somewhere else. So what about over here where the Reisha says that you shouldn't put the ladder next to your neighbor's shayvach, his birdhouse? Oh, okay, fine. We'll show it later. Why not? Why can't I put the ladder there? If you're concerned that this marten, this nemiya, is going to climb up the ladder, so you move your shayvach. According to Reb Eli, I can do whatever. It's in my property, so I put a ladder up in my property. Says Gemara Filu Tema Reb Eli. Omar Rav Ashi Kavinu be Rav Kahana Ava Omar. Rav Kahana used to say, "Moed Reb Eli begir today." Reb Eli admits that if it's your arrow, how come it's also for me to shoot a gun at someone? It's not me. It's not my hand. It's a bullet. Well, yeah, the bullet, the arrow is you. It's your action. It's an extension of your hand. So anything that's extension of your hand, an arrow, is also to do. And we said that if it's an immediate damage, is also. As you put the ladder, this cat, this nemiya, Yosef Kafsa, I wasn't zocheh to see it on this block, but the people that live right here, and I'm sure all around the world, if a bird falls to the ground, people have told me that a cat comes out of nowhere. They don't just boom. It's dead within seconds. What?
I saw it.
You saw it. People told me. I didn't see it on this. They have a special instinct. As soon as it's there, it's available for a millisecond. They come out of nowhere and it's gone. So you put down the ladder, and this animal. This wants to eat the birds in the dafkota. It's on a tall pole or whatever. It'll jump. Now you put it when they didn't jump, but you didn't have a right to put it there because at that moment you don't know if it's going to jump at that moment. Interesting. Maybe it's going to sit in the hole and jump onto the ladder. Ask the Gemara. Vagramu. We know Grama bin zaken potter. Right? Grama means you cause something. It's not your arrow. You put a ladder and the animal jumped up the ladder and killed the pigeons, whatever are there. But that's a grama. You caused it. Causing, if you cause hezek, you're potter. Says the Gemara, Omer Rav Tovi bar Masna, Zoisi Meres, Grum bin zaken Osir. Now there's a big distinction. Don't confuse the two. What's the opposite of Grum bin zaken potter? Grum bin zaken chayev. Says the Gemara, no, you're not chayev, but Grum bin zaken Osir. What's the opposite of Osir? Mutter. It's the you could hold the same thing. It's not a contradiction. Grama bin zaken is potter, but it's Osir. You don't have to pay money, but the guy could stop you. The guy says, wait a minute, it's Osir for you to put this ladder here. If you put it and a nimiyah, a martin, jumped up the ladder and killed all the birds, the guy's potter. But in terms of halacha, I could call up the police, I could call Bezdin and say, hey, the guy put up a ladder against halacha, and he has to take it down, and he'll have to take it down. So again, Zoyse Meres, from here you see, Grom and Zaken also. Says the Gemara, Mordy the Gemaisa, what?
This is basically in terms of the, you're not allowed to do it. Do your mitzvahs.
What do you mean? Bezdin is, why not? It's not a mitzvah. It's dinei hezek. It's not a mitzvah. Bin zaken. Bezdin. It's not. Why is it a mitzvah? What mitzvah is it? It's a din. It's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch that you're not allowed to be mazik another. You're damaging another person. Now I can't take cash out of you, but you're a mazik. I think Bezdin will claim it.
You can't do it?
Of course, but he's arguing that Bezdin won't get involved. I think they will.
If he's potter, then why can't he put it there? You're not allowed to. But
No. He's potter from tashlumim.
Right?
Osir to put the ladder there. That's what it says. Osir. You're not allowed to do a grum bin zaken lechatchila. If you do it, then you're potter. Says the Gemara of Yosef Havali Hanu Tole Dava Osu Umone V'Yasetu Tayu. Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. Beautiful story here. Vaso Orve Achle Dome. Come the ravens and they drink from the blood. The Salka Betole. Umafse the Tamri Rabbi say, take a look. Beautiful. You did a great job, Yoshi. You have these blood letters that are sitting under the tree that's owned by Reb Yosef. Who's Reb Yosef again? He's Abai and Rava's Rebbe. He forgot his learning later on in life. Abai used to remind him. Blind. They're sitting under the shade of the tree that they don't own. Okay, let's say it's outside of his property already. It's on the fence of his property, and they're enjoying the shade for a while already. They come every day. They set up shop under his tree, and they have a bowl of blood. Take a look what happens. Come the ravens, and they drink from the blood. So these guys shoo the ravens away. So they fly away. Where do they go? They go onto Rav Yosef's tree. And with their beaks, they start cleaning their beaks off. And if you look closely, you'll see the dates become bloodied. I don't know how many of you would like to eat bloody dates. You could just wash it off in the sink, but no, it's not so geschmack. So it says Rav Yosef, Omer Rav Yosef, apikuli kukur mahacha. Get these kukurikus. They go, whatever the sound they do. Kuku, says Rashi, that's the sound. Get these ravens out of here. You're damaging my dates. All they did is they poured blood on the floor. The blood they like. They take the dust, and after they shoot them away, they go there. So that's already a few steps away. That's causation. That you're not chayiv for something that you caused. But gramo. He says, I'm right, Rav Yosef says. You see? I could chase them away. Yes, they don't have to pay me for dates halachically, but halachically I could tell them not to be here. You're causing me damage. Says the Gemara, these guys have been there for a long time. So according to most Rishonim, a long time means they were there for 3 years. Cheskes Gimel Shanim. By the way, we're starting Cheskes Sabatim in like 4 or 5 days. It's coming up. It's going to be Geshmak. Tell your friends about it. What day? Like Tuesday, Wednesday? Tuesday. So what are we? We're on Thursday. 5 days from now. Not Daf Yomi. The Magichir has to look through it, and I'll let you know if there's anything there. So, the Cheskes Sabatim, we all know, Gimel Shanim, 3 years of chazaka. I establish it's mine 3 years. Oh, Givaldik. There's a musig in Shas called chazaka she'eni motaina. When we talk about 3 years, it doesn't mean, hey, I was here for 3 years, it's mine. Like you say, hey, I bought this for cash, it's mine. When you sit there for 3 years, you can't tell somebody, but I sat here for 3 years. You have to say, I sat here for 3 years and I bought it from the guy and I lost my shtar. You have to explain yourself. But according to the Rambam and other Rishonim, they say no. Over here, the chazaka is, don't worry about it. We're not getting into them. I'm just throwing it out in 30 seconds. The chazaka is one time, let's say. One time. I sat here on a Sunday, I set up shop, nobody said a word to me. Then I don't even need a taina. This is not a 3 year chazaka. So it's mamish from end to end. Either you need 3 years plus I have to explain myself, or one time and I don't even have to explain myself. But regardless, that's the Gemara. They already established that it's theirs. You cannot establish anything when you damage somebody else. You're damaging. Damaging is damage. Even if you're there for 10 years and you damage somebody every day and the guy's a nice guy, didn't say anything, one day he could wake up and chew you away. You know, I damage, but that's it. I had enough. Now I'm older. It bothers me more. I want you out of here. Says Gemara of Allah. Let's see all the way in the bottom of the Amud. Mamish, the last words. Rav Mori Omar Bekutra, Rav Zvid Omar Beisakise. There's only 2 damages that never go away. Smoke. That's why I brought up the cigarettes. Smoke, you put, like in those days, they didn't have cigarettes, whatever they had, like, massive smoke. A matzah bakery downstairs, like we said, the guys complained there's a lot of smoke in the neighborhood. So smoke goes into my house. Now, I'm a big tzaddik. I don't care about the smoke. I convinced my wife not to complain. You know what? You give my mad nafesh. A few years later, I'm like, the doctor said it's not good for your health. Knock, knock. Can you please stop the smoke? Oh, but I've been doing it for 3.5 years. I have a chazaka. There's no chazaka for the hezek called smoke. And there's no chazaka. If you build a bathroom right under my porch, and I'm a nice guy, and I could take the smell for a certain amount of time, but eventually my kids grow older and they're complaining, so even though you're there for 3.5 years, Beisaki say there's no chazaka. But blood on your dates, there's a chazaka. You didn't say anything yesterday, according to the Rabbim. You didn't say anything for 3.5 years, according to Taisvis. That's it. Rav Yosef can't chase them away. Omalei says a big aside. What does it mean, smoke? What does it mean, a Beisaki say? For each person, over here it's like Nasnu Chacham Devreim L'Shiurim. For me, blood on my food. For a lot of people in this room, if you have blood on a fruit, you would not touch that fruit. Just wash it off. No, not me. I'm throwing it out. Give it to somewhere else. I'm an istanis. I'm a mafunak. I don't even know how to say it in English. I have sensory issues. Finicky, spoiled. Very no, istanis is a much better word. A litvak.
He says it's the Rivam who says what you say, not the Rambam.
Yeah.
Not the Rambam, the Rivam.
Oh no, it's for sure the Rambam also.
Okay.
I'm saying I said Rambam and other Rishonim.
Oh, it's Rivam.
Yeah. Kikudru beisakise domali. So Taisa says an amazing thing here. Taisa says lididi. He says that in Psachim it says, Shloisha chayei min achayim. There are 3 people that their life is not a life. You hear this? Harachmanim, people that have too much rachmanis on people. Varatchanim, people that have too much anger. Vanine adas, those who have sensory, those who are istanis. Omer Rav Yosef, v'kulu isnu bi. I have all 3. Just recently, a very, very famous speaker, maybe I won't mention his name, he came out, mamash, this week. I just saw it this week. He says, everybody knows who he is. He's one of the most popular speakers in the world today. And he says, I have anxiety and I struggle with anxiety every day. People struggle with these things. And it's, I don't know if it's the same thing. It's not the same thing, but it's a certain, So he says, I have it. Rav Yosef came out there. I'm vulnerable. I don't, you struggle and I struggle. We all struggle. Everybody has their thing. Says the Eli Mishnah, if you have a dovecot here, you got to distance it from the city. Here, just one example of what it can look like. This is a small one. So, no, but these are nicer birds. If you look closely, they don't have these white birds. I get it. I have a big problem with it because it just, ever since I lived in Mendy's, I didn't even live there. I rented Mendy's house and Tainas, the pigeons, there's pigeons everywhere that you can't get rid of them. And like, what are we going to do when the Beis HaMikdash comes? Like, this is what I'm supposed to bring as a carbon. I'll take a raven. I don't want that. But anyways, that's what it is. In Brooklyn, I told you this story. I'm going to tell you again. In Brooklyn, New York, this is what my neighbor had. I'm not exaggerating. In Brooklyn, on East 4th Street, between Ditmas and F, the guy had this in his backyard. And he used to let them go every day, like that. Hundreds. And he would stand with a very long pole, and he would go like this. And look at them in the sky. They circle. And he would make them go like this. I don't know what he was doing. He went like this, and they go around the stick. And then he put his stick down, and then they eventually just come back and go right back into that thing. So, says the Mishnah. Here we go. Let's say there's a city on the right, and you live in that little... So you need, if you want to build, you saw how it's hard to see, but... So you have to distance your birdhouse from the city 50. Why? As we're going to see in the Gemara, because these birds eat 50 amma, which is nothing, 100 feet out, and you could cause damage to other people. Your birds are going to eat other people's food. Like, I don't need to show you this, but if you live in yisroel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is normal, yeah? It's in America also, but it's not the pigeons, it's the smaller birds over there. You should not build a dovecot in your property if you live in Brooklyn, unless you have 50 amal kol ruach, meaning you have the whole block, and this guy had 2.5 feet, so it would be mamish also for him. Reb Yehuda Omer, base arbas kurin, it's really 273 amos, says the art scroll. Meloy sheger hayoina. That's what a pigeon flies, and we're going to talk about it. The Gemara is going to say it's a lot more. If a pigeon could fly a lot more than that. How much could a pigeon fly, Rabbi Isai? In one day? A regular pigeon. Throw out a number. You're not going to believe it. 3,000 miles. In one day. Yo, what do you say? 50 kilometers. They could fly 1,100 kilometers. That's just the average pigeon. 1,100 kilometers in one day. So we have to remember this halacha because we're going to be discussing it. If you purchase a dovecot, a house with the thing, so it's not up to you now to put the 50 amma distance. You buy the dovecot from my Italian neighbor on East 4th Street, so you could be comfortable even though it only has base roiva, which is only 10 amma distance to your neighbor. That's fine. What's this 50 amma? I mean, it sounds like a joke for a pigeon. A pigeon that can fly 1,100 kilometers, what's 50 amma? 100 feet. You cannot set a trap for a pigeon. And I told you, if you could figure out how to trap these pigeons, you'll be a billionaire. I'm willing to go into business with anybody who has a good pigeon, not contraption, distancing device, other than the one that screams in the street and whatever. I said one that doesn't disturb the neighbors. And parts of Nishmas, those are a little illegal. Shleishim ris is 8,000 am, which is approximately 3 miles. 3 miles. You have to distance your traps 3 miles, not 100 feet. Omer Abayo, Meisha Chayet Tuva. A pigeon could fly a lot further than 100 feet. But their stomach is filled up in 50 amma. They don't eat after 50 amma. So perhaps the pshat is like this. What's pshat? A pigeon doesn't eat 50 amma. It can fly 1,100 kilometers, but it only eats the first 50 amma. So I want to tell you this Mordy Gezach. On Amud Beis, it says that a baby pigeon could only go 50 amma, not a centimeter more. You're going to see a sugi. It cannot go physically. It can't go. As a baby, if it goes more than 50 amma, it's not a baby anymore. Then already, Rashi says, it went to the next stage. The baby stage, they could only hop, and hopping, they could go only 50 amma. So there's a famous concept in psychology. They did a few research. They took a flea. A flea could jump really high. They took a flea, put it in a cup, and they put a piece of plastic on top of the cup. And the flea kept on jumping and hitting its head on the plastic. And nobody likes hitting their head. And after a bunch of times hitting the head up and down, they removed the plastic. And for the rest of this flea's life, it was able to jump the same height as the cup, but never higher. Because in his head, he knew that if he jumps higher, he's going to get a zetz in his cup. Glass ceiling. So a woman, and the famous one is the elephant. In Thailand, they take a baby elephant, they put a piece of wood in the ground, deep into the ground, and they tie the baby elephant with a metal chain to this piece of wood. So first week, 2 of its life, it pulls on the piece of wood, it can't get it out. It gets older, tries, can't. Eventually, when the elephant is 7 tons and could take a car with its trunk and throw it 100 feet, see these videos, it picks up a motorcycle that weighs, hundreds of pounds, throws it, takes a bus with its trunk, could uproot a full-grown tree like this, uproot it from the ground. It cannot take out this little pole, like a broomstick in the ground. It can't. Why? Because psychologically it's stuck. It thinks in its head. It remembers when he was a baby, he tried many, many times. So that's this pole stays in the ground. That's what they say. So Mela, maybe that's the pshat over here, that this baby chick over here, it never went more than 50 amma. So when it grows up, that's it. 50 amma is my food source. When I see food over there, I can't get to it. No, that's it. So there's my 50 amma. But what's going to get to us? Because we are all held back by certain statements that our parents, our Rebbeim told us when we were younger. You cannot do this. Or you tell yourself, when you're in school, you say, Cheskas Habatim is not for me. It was just too hard. It was this. It's not for me. So your mind, you're 50 years old today. Cheskas, Gemara is not for me. How do I know? Because when I was younger, I had this limitation. Today it's geschmack and it flows and it's easy and it's good. No, I can't do it. So the trick is to review your life and see what are the limitations that you have that are not real. They're plastic bags. They're whatever. There's small poles in the ground. And when you realize those things, you could break them and continue on with your life. Oh, huh? Exodus of the mind, and those who want to see more of it, by Noam Fixes Haggadah. Shkoyach.
What do you buy? Fixes Haggadah.
Zok the Gemara. Umesha shloishim ris v'suloi. What's this? 8,000 amma. 3 what? Oh, here. Today's prop. Here we go. I did not see it in here, but I heard it's full. This sefer has it all. In the back, there'll be a picture right here. In the next verse, there'll be a picture of on the front, an elephant. No, of an elephant trying to pull the stick out. It says mefurish that in a city, even 100 mil, meaning even 1,000 mil, you should never put out a trap in a city. Why? Because it's your friend's pigeon that you're catching. Chacham. I caught a pigeon. It's not yours. That beautiful white pigeon belongs to that guy from the shed. So we have to say, it says, the fact that he could fly such a distance is because there's different vineyards on the way, so he gets to eat on the way. It's because there's different dove cuts all along the way. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, you're telling me, why can't you set a trap 1,000 ris, 100 ris away from the city? Because it might be a pigeon from the city. No, it might be a pigeon from this dove cut that you just invented. Rava said, there must be dove cuts all along the way. So that's why you can't take the pigeon, because maybe it's one of those pigeons from those dove cuts. Not because it's a pigeon from the city. Says the Gemara, no, but those dove cuts along the way are yours. So you're allowed to take it from those. You have to be concerned that maybe it came from 100 miles away from the city. That's the concern. From these dovkots, you don't have to be concerned because it's yours. Or, the guy, there's no hashavas aveda by a guy. So they own by a guy, and then some Gemara says Knani. The hefker. And some say that all those dovkots along the route are hefker, and that's why you're allowed to take them. Reb Eli Beis Arbas Kurim says at the end of the Mishnah, but you have to continue, that if you purchase a dovkot that's in somebody else's property, even if it doesn't have the necessary 50 amma, 273 amma, whatever it is, even if it has 10 amma, it's enough. If we go to this concept in Shas, what just happened here? Oh, sorry. Chazaka she'eni motaina versus chazaka she'yeshi motaina. What's going on here? You bought a dovkot. It doesn't have the distance. So what are you claiming? That you bought it. But what are you claiming? That somebody else made a chazaka? You don't know. Elamai. When you purchase something, Bezdin, so to speak, is going to make the claim for you. You purchase from somebody who made a chazaka and he already bought his rights and everything. So you see from here that we will make the claim for the purchaser. What about a Yerush? A child who inherited from his father a whole thing. How could he claim, oh, my father bought it, my father had a star? He doesn't know anything. So we Bezdin take care of business for him. Yerush Tanino, says the Gemara. So why do I have to say this? I already know this. These two halachas I already know. It's not important for you to say. So you say Meres, a big chiddush here. It's already mefurish in the Mishnah. Yerush Tanino Abba Mishum Yerusha Nitzarch Taino mefurish. If Yerush comes, he doesn't have to make a claim. We do it for him. Says the Gemara, I need the second thing. The purchaser. We make the claim for him. Says the Gemara, I don't need that either. Here's a beautiful case of Gizus Terais. Gizus Terais is a porch that comes out. You see it in Meir Sharm sometimes, not that low. This is a little bit of exaggeration. And Gizin, what's the word? Zizin are those metal things. Here we go. Rabbi say.
Come on, man.
So, you're not allowed to push that out into the Rishus Harabim because it causes damage. Harezu b'chaskasa. But if a guy already has the porch like that, he already established a chazaka. So it says mefurish. Well, you don't have to be tying for him. We're tying him for him. You bought it, lokach chotzer. You bought a yard and it has a porch. You don't have to worry about it. The chazaka is good. Says Gemara, tzricha, simple tzrichusa. The Yashmin and Hazing Rishus Harabim. In this case, with the porch sticking out the Rishus Harabim, the Emekon is the shaloyu. Perhaps you see that sidewalk. He owns that sidewalk. Why does he own the sidewalk? Because he wanted to make a porch. The only way he can make a porch is if he built up to the street. If he would build up to the street, he wouldn't be allowed to put a porch. So he pushed his house back and he put out a porch. It happens to be that the people started using that as a sidewalk, but it's his private property. You want to go on my private property? Sometimes you get banged in the head. But that's why I established it's very possible that I got permission. I didn't get permission. I built it on my own property. Or maybe the whole Rishus Harabim, all the people from the city were moichelim. How's that possible as Taisus? So Taisus is a concept called Shiva Tuvei Ir, Barabim, the 7 leaders of the city, they could give you permission. But when it's a one-on-one, my dovkot against your chotzer, maybe I didn't get permission. I'm just standing there, I'm a bad guy, I did it. How's it possible that you have a porch in the middle of Meir Sharm without anybody talking about it? Obviously, they gave you permission. The Kim in the Yachdu, or perhaps the exact opposite. Since you're Yachid, one-on-one, I could get Mechila from you. You're Meichel me, we're good neighbors. But when it comes to the portion of Rishus, it's more likely that Shiva Tuvei didn't give you Rishus. What's the likelihood that they're going to give you Rishus to build a porch in the middle of Rishus Harabim? Eli Tzricha. Huh?
Shouldn't we here to give you rishos to be doing nezek?
Not nezek, but a grama like. It's like grama. People that are not careful, it's too high. Let's keep on going. Why is this dovkot that you just purchased from somebody yours with a chazaka? You can't do a chazaka when it comes to damaging other people. Say thank you. Ramari says that we're talking about smoke. This is where we said it. The only 2 things that you don't have a chazaka are smoke and a restroom. Daf Gimel Amud Beis, sponsored by Life Share Community, protecting families today before tomorrow's unexpected loss.
Live chip community? Live chip?
Says the Eli Mission Daf Gimel Amud Beis. Nipul. Hanim Sevatei Chamishim Amo. Nipul. Here. Let's see. I don't want this one. That one is impossible to grab. This one. Oh, it does. Shmat. This one, we could get rid of this. I don't know. So it's very interesting. Let me see how many people in this room want this after share, because I got to go. Anybody want to take care of it? Your father said nothing furry. This has fur. No. So you can't take it. What about y'all? You can take it home? So out of the whole room over here, we got one. How old are you? 15? 16-year-old. One 16-year-old that wants to take this. So, but we have a whole Mishnah here. Who owns this? People used to fight over this stuff. This could be a meal. Anyway, I got to make sure that it doesn't Ashiyotzar. We're talking about Beisakise over here.
Put it on a tissue.
You're not wearing gloves.
I am not wearing gloves. It's very cute. This is going to be an Amud that nobody remembers. Nobody's going to even understand. You're going to be focusing over here the whole time. And it's on purpose. I have no idea what's going on here. If I find this within 50 amma of a hi, what's going on? I know. No, okay, you know what? Let me put it down over here. Okay. Don't focus on it. And if there's 50 amma, it is the person that purchased it. What? Out of the 50 amma, it's hefker, you can take it. If you find it between two different dafkats, whoever it's closer gets it. What's exactly in the middle? Take this bird, chop it in half. Tremendous amount of meat for each one. So here we have that question. There's two concepts in Shas: roiv and karoiv. Roiv means the majority, 51%. Karoiv means whatever's closer. What if they are two rules that oppose each other in this case? There's a roiv on the one hand, and this karoiv on another hand. We'll get rid of them in a second. By the end of the daf. If you have these two things, roiv wins. What's a case? And we're going to see it in our Mishnah. And then here, you're okay, Michael? You look a little uncomfortable. You already heard the sugya. Be quiet. She's used to the sugya from yesterday. The both the concepts in the Torah. Look, I put it over here. The famous roiv. The city that is closer wins. Roiv wins. Here we go. There's a concept in Shas, for those of you who don't know. It's called Egla Rufa, meaning, if there's a body found between two cities, you see, the body found between two cities, you take a measurement, the closer one wins, loses. Here's the cow, the calf, you bring it, and you have to do arifa. Okay. What do you mean? Look at the cities. Over here, this city on the right has 1 million people. The one on the left has 100,000 people. Says Gemara, and you see the gimel over there, that's the halacha. They're equal. They both have 1 million people each. Exactly. 99999. They don't have one person more. There's no roiv. But if there is a roiv, Rabbi Sai, we go by the roiv. Roiv beats the karoiv.
How old is the row? Is it like 20 years, like in the Torah when they count?
Oh, it's walking. It's doing medada. This is rear. That's actually walking. You see how it's barely. That's why 50 amma. Hold on. We'll talk later. Says the Gemara b'deleka. What about all the people? Let's say you're talking about Yerushalayim. How many millions of people come a year through Yerushalayim? Let's go by that, Roy. It's a very unpopular place. It's between the mountains. Nobody goes there. It's in Switzerland. What about our mission? It says if you find this little bird, and if it's within 50 amo, it goes to the owner of the. What about there's a giant dovecot with millions of birds, but it's more than 50 am out? More than 50 am out. Shouldn't that win? It's the Roiv. So the Gemara b'deleka. There's nothing like that. So what I do at the end of the Mishnah? If it's outside of the 50 am distance, it goes to whoever found it. But if there's nothing bigger than that in the distance, Vadimau certainly came from the small one. Where did this bird come from? There's nothing you're saying, there's no other one. So it came from this one. Now, if it's the Hefker one that's further away, so it's Hefker. So either way, you look at it, you don't have to give it back. So the Gemara, we're talking about a bird here. This little bird is a medada. It doesn't know how to fly. If it knew how to fly, it wouldn't be on the table right now. All it could do is hop. It cannot possibly go more than 50 amma. By Reb Yirmiyah. Rabbi Isai, here's the famous Reb Yirmiyah. Reb Yirmiyah throughout Shas asks very interesting questions, like these teku kind of questions. He asked the question, Rag lo yachas. Here, let me do this. Check this out. Here, let me use this for a second. You don't mind, right? It's not your Gemara. Here. Look at this. We have 1 foot on one end of the 50 amma. This string is 50 amma. Hello, don't move. Okay, there you go. You see? 1 foot is Gershon, where are you? Okay. 1 foot is on this side of the rope, and 1 foot is on the other side of the rope. That rope, that string is 50 amma. You know what they did to him for asking this question? They threw him out of the Beis Medrash. On that question, they threw him out of the Beis Medrash. So the question is, why did they throw him out of the Beis Medrash? Rashi says, why are you disturbing the Talmidei Chacham? Why are you asking them such questions? You're being matriach them. You're bogging them down with funny questions. Taisus says unbelievable. Taisus says, exactly. Taisus says, when Chacham say that a bird that's medada can't go 50 amma, it can't physically go 50 amma. If you want to explain it, and we spoke about this a bunch of times, that the G'dolei Adar, the Chachamim, they establish what the rules of science should be. When they say it's 50 amma, that means, scientifically speaking, a bird can't go more than 50 amma. It's impossible.
Just don't even include his question.
No, we want to say the story that they threw him out. No, wait a minute. So, okay.
Don't even put it in.
Now, listen to this. It happens to be on Daf Kuf Samachei, at the end of the Masechta, they ask a question, and they brought him back into the Beis Medrash. They brought him back because he answered a great answer. They brought him back in. I'm not going to say, I'll say the line for those who know, but you could say that he left Yatsa b'sheila. There's such a thing as going out. A person that goes off the derech is called Yatsa b'sheila. The Chazar b'tshuva. Okay, fine. Those who understand. But a Rosh Yeshiva once told the Bacher, he said, at the rate that you're going, you're learning 2 daf a year or whatever it is. Reb Yirmiyah won't come back to Beis Medrash for another 100 years. But luckily we have people that learn, Daf Yomi. So okay, so he'll be back in 2-3 months, or I don't know, it's half a year from now. But hold on a second. The Chassam Sofer brings, there's a famous machlokes, the Metzilas Yesharim, the Chavis Alvavas, they hold that if you're going to learn Torah, you should learn things that are Negea L'Maisa. Don't learn Hilchas Gitin and these kind of things. Learn things that are Negea. So Chassam Sofer uses a very strong lashon, and he says, An Oisei Chassid, talking about the Chavis Alvavas. He said, I think in this case, he made a little bit of a mistake. He says very strong lashon. He says these are the questions that we have in Gemara. These, and look, he says, look in Bava Basra, Daf Yomi and Beis. He asked, what if one leg is over here? This is the beauty of the torah. He says, we once asked the question, what if his body is that of a goat, but his face is that of a human? It's not shaykh, but that's torah. And I want to show you his lashon because I think it's a beautiful lashon. He says, this is the real happiness. This is gives you dveikus. That's how you cling to Hashem. You have to have kavana. It happens to be that the Rizal, pause here for a second, because the Rizal says, on this story, the Rizal says that you should know that Reb Eli was mechavan Shem Shamayim. And they threw him out, that was wrong, they threw him out. He wanted to get the people engaged in Torah and Gishmak Akashas. And you should know, Noel Emes, Reb Eli is up there, he's the one throwing out the questions and the answers today. That's what the Rizal says. When you learn Torah on these kind of interesting questions, and I love this last lashon, when you cling to Hashem's Torah, you cling to Hashem Himself. By learning His Torah, you cling to Hashem Himself. Okay, so anyway, Zok the Gemara. You know what? That's it. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.